Pasco County. Are you glad you live in the free state of Florida? Are you going to work hard between now and November 8th so we can keep it that way? Are you glad that in Florida we chose freedom over Fauciism? Are you thankful that we banned CRT in Florida? Are you glad that we banned gender ideology in schools? Well, it's great to be here. I'm fired up, ready to go. I think we're going to do very, very well, but we need everybody on board. We need all y'all. Who here has already voted? Who here is waiting till Election Day to vote? Who's going to vote early between now and Election Day? Okay. All right, well, all you guys waiting till Election Day, that's fine. Just make sure you do it. If you get a flat tire, you got to figure out a way to get to the polls. That's on you. But I'm happy to see so much enthusiasm. And, you know, we have an opportunity. If you think about 2018 election, when I ran 4 years ago, we were a whisker away from having a much different future for this state. And I think we look back and see we didn't know what was coming down the pike. But if you look at different states like California, Illinois, New York, we would have been that on steroids. It would have been a total disaster. And so that was very close. And we dodged a major, major bullet. So this gives us an opportunity. We dodged that bullet. Now we can solidify our state as the nation's citadel of freedom. They will not be able to stop us if we can win this and win strong. And if you think about some of the things that we've had to do over the last few years, we had to stand up against a lot of corrupt media over the last few years. We had to stand up against the left. We had to stand up against power-hungry bureaucrats like Fauci and make decisions that, you know, we didn't want to lock people down. We wanted to lift people up in this state. And we were able, and I remembered summer of 2020, I got a letter from Democrat members of the U.S. House of Representatives from Florida, and they were attacking me. Because they say you can't have the state open because of COVID. And they said you must lock down the state of Florida. You must impose shelter in place and mandates. And that's what they were telling me. And the media was supporting them. And the left was supporting them. And I was taking a lot of this heat. But I'm reading this letter and I'm thinking to myself, you know, if we did what they said, it would destroy the state of Florida. You would have millions of people's lives would be in turmoil. You would have businesses go under at record levels. Massive numbers of people would not have the ability to put food on the table. And our kids would have been locked out of even going to school at all. And so I knew that. And I knew I was getting, you know, hit and all that other stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, leadership is not about covering your own hide. Leadership is about doing what's right for the people you represent. So I was more worried about saving jobs of the people I represent than worrying about protecting my own. So I took out that letter. Yeah, you're welcome. So I grabbed the letter. I crumpled it up and I threw it into the trash can where it belongs. And they want to rewrite history on a lot of this stuff. You know, they attacked me relentlessly 2 years ago because I said, you know, you need to have kids in school. First of all, that's what the data said. Second of all, it's just the right thing to do. And I had the left attack me, media attack me. I even had teachers union sue me. In the summer of 2020, they wanted to lock the kids out of school. So we said that that was the right thing to do to keep them in school, and we did that. And all those people back then who took those positions, those people were wrong. We in Florida were right. And you now see these other states that lock these kids out. And the thing is, the people that lock the kids out, they put their own kids in tutoring or in-person education. They lock out everybody else's kids, but these are elites and they live under different rules. So that's what was going on. But we now know they just did the nation's report card. Everyone takes this test across the country. Florida is number 3 in 4th grade reading and number 4 in 4th grade math in the entire country. And that was not true. That was not true when I was growing up down the road in Pinellas County. And if you adjust for our demographics, we actually are number 1 in the nation in both. And that would not have happened if we let Fauci and the lockdowners win. No, we did what was right. And now those other areas are having big problems. They want to act like they all supported what I did all along, but that is not true. If you had a different governor, you would have had way worse outcomes, and we all know that, and we're not going to let them rewrite history. We also stood up to them when they wanted to impose things like vaccine passports in the state of Florida. They wanted you to not be able to go to a ball game or a movie theater or go to get a restaurant unless you showed medical papers and shot records. And we rejected that in Florida. You should not have your freedom circumscribed by whether you take a shot or not. So we said no mandates, no passports, so we banned vaccine passports in the state of Florida. And I was attacked for that too. But what ended up happening? In 2021, we set a record for domestic tourism in the state of Florida. And that is money in people's pockets who work in that industry, who work in our restaurants or hotels, all these different things. They had a banner year. You know why? Because people knew if you came to Florida and spent your money, you would be treated like a normal human being and you would be able to make your own decisions. Why would you want to go and spend tourism dollars to go to San Francisco when... So you, on the way to going to a restaurant, if you can dodge the feces in the street, you show up and they won't let you in the restaurant unless you show your shot records. I mean, give me a break. People don't want to do that. That's not how you have a good time. So we were able to not only lead domestic tourism, set a record. If you look at foreign tourism in 2021 to the United States of America, causeway that was broken 3 places. And these are not state bridges, but they came to me because they were being told, the people that live there, you're not going to have any luck for 6 months. Well, that would have caused those islands to wither on the vine. I mean, they wouldn't have been able to sustain themselves if that were the case. So they came to me a couple days after the storm. They said, can you help us? I said, of course, I'll help you. What do you want? They're like, we need to be able to get back and forth to the island. They're telling us it's going to be 6 months. And so I said, all right, again, it's not our road or bridge or any of that, but, I'm not going to sit around and ask the federal government to pay for it or whatever. Hey, I got the biggest surplus in the history of Florida. I'll use it. So they came to me and said, can you do it? I said, yes, and let's see what we can do. So I talked to some folks, and they said, we think we actually can do this. It's going to take a few weeks, but we think we can get it done. I'm like, well, a few weeks isn't bad, but, honestly, I'd like it sooner than that. And they're like, all right, we'll see. Okay, all right. Well, we think we could get it done in a week. And I'm like, I want it sooner than that as well. So they worked very hard, and they were able to, for a bridge that people thought would be out for 6 months, from the time we started on it until the time we finished it and reopened it, it took 3 days to get it done. Now, do you think New York's governor would be able to repair anything in 3 days? No. We know that's not true. But that's just You can be paralyzed with red tape. You can be paralyzed with bureaucracy. You could want someone else to always do it, or you can just dive head first and do it. So we're able to do that. That was a massive lifeline to Pine Island. Now they got everything hooked up again. They've got damage, and they're going to do it. But, I mean, it's going to survive, and it's going to thrive now. And the same thing with Sanibel Island. You know, had 3 different breaks. So we got people together, and we said, you know, we've been helicoptering people in for power. We've been barging them in. It's fine, but it's not enough. You need a massive convoy of trucks getting out there to fix all the electrical, to make the repairs, clear the debris, all this. And in order to do that, you need to get over the ground. And so we looked at it. They said, you know, okay, if we're very aggressive, we probably can get it done by the end of October, which, you know, they were told 6 months to a year. So that actually would have been very good. But I said, you know, I want to do it a little bit quicker than that. Okay, people are waiting. And so we were able to do it in first of all, less than 2 weeks after the storm. We were able to open it up for all the emergency vehicles, all the power trucks. We had a massive convoy go over, start repairing everything, and kind of keep going. They're camping out. But then we had to make some more repairs, and so we were able, a massive causeway with 3 breaks, 3 weeks to the day of the storm. A causeway they thought would be 6 months to a year was reopened to the public in Southwest Florida. So, and another thing about leadership is government can only do so much. The state can do certain things. The feds, you know, can do. That's a massive bureaucracy local. We need to harness all the energy of our communities and charitable groups in order to help people in a situation like that. And so I tasked someone I trust very much, who you may know, the First Lady of Florida, my wife, Casey. I tasked her to rally some of the organizations and really channel that to help the folks who were harmed by the storm. And so she launched, even before the storm hit land, she launched the Florida Disaster Fund, which you can find at floridadisasterfund.org and contribute if you want or whatever. And they have done it, and at this point have raised over $52 million to help people in Southwest Florida. And money's been distributed. There's going to be more that's distributed. We're looking forward to that. She also was able to do a television ad recently. You may have seen the television ad that she did. And, you know, we wanted her to do something, of course, whatever she wanted. And so she had the idea she wanted to do. She's like, I need to show you this script because I don't want to do it if you're not going to like it. I was like, no. I was like, don't worry what I think. Don't worry what anyone thinks. You do what you think is best, and I guarantee you it'll be very, very good. And so what she did, so she went, and you know, when you do these shoots with all the commercials, there's cameras everywhere, there's people milling around. I mean, it's really, really a big production. So what she did is she kicked everybody out of the room except for one camera guy. She got rid of the script and basically just spoke straight from the heart to the camera. And she did a really, really great job. And she's really helped rally a lot of people to our cause. And so she is actually here with us today, and I want her to come up. Because in addition to all of that, she's also been working with mothers throughout the state of Florida, and we've got a great announcement about Mamas for DeSantis. So.
First of all, how great does it feel to be a Floridian? How excited are you to vote for America's governor? So very early on, I started this little something that you might have heard of, Mamas for DeSantis, right? So everyone was saying, we had a lofty goal, and people were saying, oh, it couldn't be done. We said we are going to sign up 1 million mamas to support the governor. Well, I have news for you. We didn't sign up 1 million moms to support the governor. We signed up 1.1 million moms across the state. Because I'll tell you, mamas are fired up because we believe that parents and moms have the right to be able to say what we want for our child's education. We believe in safe communities, and we believe in Governor DeSantis. So 1.1 million mamas strong. Mamas, this election is now in your hands. Go out and vote. God bless you guys.
You want me to throw it? She brought some mamas for DeSantis hats. Anyone want one? Well, what a great achievement. She's been putting up a lot of wins for the people of Florida and, of course, a lot of wins for our campaign. And, I think some people see a commercial, all that stuff, and they're like, well, if she was willing to marry him, he must be okay because she's really terrific. But she's right about standing for education. And we've drawn a very clear line in the sand in the state of Florida that the purpose of our school system is to educate kids, not to indoctrinate kids. We believe that parents have fundamental rights with respect to the education and upbringing of their children. And a school district or a charter school or private school, they're important, but they do not supersede the rights of parents with respect to how you raise your kids. And we are making sure that we are doing education properly understood. We are not doing critical race theory. We're not teaching kids to hate their country or to hate each other. We're going to teach real American civics. We're going to teach about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and that our rights come from our Creator. And we are going to make sure that parents can send their kids to elementary school without having instruction telling a 6-year-old that they may have been born in the wrong body. We're not going to allow them teaching kids that their gender is a choice. And we're not going to let schools get into issues of sexuality with these very young kids. It's not going to happen in Florida. And not everybody liked that when we took a stand on that. I had the media attacking, the left attacking. They even corralled big corporations to oppose parents' rights and oppose what we were doing, including big companies that cater to kids like Disney Corporation. And, it was smart of them to do it, though, because they know on the left they're not going to win elections on this issue. If they run and tell parents, elect us because we on the left want to have gender ideology in first grade, people don't want that. Parents don't want that. My parents are older. They don't even understand how this could be going on. And it's just the way, so they know that's not a winning political message. But what they thought is, if we can get Disney, which is very powerful, and let's just be honest, until I became governor, Disney got everything they have ever wanted from the state of Florida political system, okay? So it was a smart play because you do that, they will bring their power to bear, and they hope that a guy like me will be forced to back down. Well, and honestly, it was not a bad theory, but I got news for them. Woke corporations do not run the state of Florida with me in charge. We run the state of Florida. We're standing up for parents. We're standing up for kids. And I know in the past that's not how it's been when some of the big boys bring their power to bear. But in here, we don't back down and we stand up for what's right. And not only did we do that, but we also had a situation where they wanted to repeal it going forward. They pledged that they were going to basically wage an all-out assault on the rights of parents in Florida. And look, as a company, I think it's dumb to take these positions, but you have a right to do it, but you don't have a right to force us to subsidize it. You don't have a right to force us to put you on a pedestal while you're doing this activism. And so we saw that they had their own government in the Central Florida for decades, that they're exempt from laws that many of their competitors have to follow, and that they get massive tax breaks. And so we said, okay, that's a very sweetheart arrangement, and now you're on this pedestal and you're using your preferences and privileges to attack core state policies, and that's unacceptable. Those values are not our values, and so you're free to express it, but we work with the legislature, and now Disney is no longer going to have its own government. They are going to be living under the same laws as their competitors and everybody else, and they are going to pay their fair share of taxes in the state of Florida. But it brings up an issue because why, even 5 years ago, we would never even be having this discussion. But it raises the issue of the effects on our society of major institutions being infected by what I call the woke mind virus. And this is an ideology trumping reason and evidence, but you see it in corporate America, you see it in media and tech and all these other things. I mean, just think, we also in Florida had to sign legislation. I was happy to do it. We signed legislation protecting women's sports in Florida. But who would have thought that you would have had compete on the men's swim team for 3 years, then switch to the women's team and win the women's championship? How is that fair to these women's swimmers? How is it fair to people that are working hard to try to be able to compete with integrity and fairness? And so, of course, it's not right. And so we took a stand on that. You know, we were criticized for that. Some of the companies weren't happy with us, and the NCAA was even threatening not to hold events in states that passed legislation protecting women's sports. Well, I said on that, you know, they say they're going to boycott Florida. Make my day. I don't care. I'm going to do what's right. And we signed the bill. Did they boycott Florida? No, of course not. So we did that, but it shows you. And then, unfortunately, we're having now to address the really gruesome issue of sex change operations being performed on minors. And what happens is, you know, these are teenagers. You go through a lot of different things as teenagers. It's a difficult time. There's growing pains. And most of the dysphoria, over 80% of the dysphoria that's identified, resolves itself by the time people become adults. And yet, you have now had a major increase across the country in giving a teenage girl a double mastectomy, changing boys with like castration, and really gruesome stuff. Now, what they will tell you in the newspaper is this is gender-affirming care. And what that is, that's a euphemism to try to hide the grotesqueness of what they're doing. And the question is, in a state like Florida, if a 15-year-old can't get a tattoo, is it really appropriate that they could have their body parts taken off? No. So we saw that happening, and we said that's wrong. So we worked with our Surgeon General and others to provide the medical evidence showing that this is not justifiable, brought it in front of Florida's Board of Medicine, and now, because they've acted, if physicians are performing sex change operations on minors, they are going to lose their medical license. So we've got to fight hard because there's a lot going on. It seems like everywhere you turn, you know, our values are under assault by the left. You know, if they had just a couple more senators after the 2020 election, they were going to abolish the Electoral College. They were going to pack the U.S. Supreme Court. They were going to make D.C. a state so they get 2 senators, Democrat senators for life. And they were going to eliminate voter ID all across the country and mandate ballot harvesting all across the country. And, you know, that would be really hard for Florida because we've really taken election integrity very seriously in this state. We banned ballot harvesting in Florida. We banned Zuckerbucks in the state of Florida. And we created a unit in state government now which their sole focus is to investigate and prosecute voter fraud. So you've had now, they just brought a prosecution against a guy down in Broward County. He is illegal alien, 9-time convicted felon, and he voted twice in 2021, including one election, a primary, that was decided by like 40 votes. So when you have people that are not even U.S. citizens voting in the election, that could cancel out your vote that you worked hard to be able to cast. So we view election integrity is very important, and you can have good laws, but you got to show that you're willing to enforce it. So I think now, because of what we did, everyone across Florida knows you ballot harvest at your peril, because we are going to hold you accountable if you are violating the law. But the stakes are high, and look, I saw we have Laurel Lee. I think we can win a number of seats from Florida for the U.S. House of Representatives across the state. I think it's going to be really good. I saw Blaise Ngolia, who's the senator now, is going to be the senator, I think, for this neck of the woods, definitely a little north of here. And we are going to potentially have super majorities in the Florida legislature for Republicans. That's very possible if you guys all come out to vote. So I really look forward to Florida on Tuesday night. And everyone that said you're waiting for election night, we need 100% turnout out of you, no excuses. And for those of you who've already voted, you need to work to try to bring out another voter to the polls. You got to know someone from your neighborhood or a family member or coworker, employee, and just tell them to vote. Tell them to get out there and vote. I think people appreciate having lived in the state of Florida over the last few years. People appreciated having jobs. They appreciated having education for their kids. They appreciated having freedom to make their own decisions and not be beat down with mandates. So let's get everybody on board, and let's start off what I think will be a red wave crashing across this country and our fruited plain. Are you ready to make history? Are you ready to send your governor back to Tallahassee? Are you ready to keep Florida free? Thank you. God bless you. Thanks so much.